Well, the cold nights are definitely coming in, and most of the polytunnel is effectively stopped growing. Some things are still fighting their way through, but where the tomatoes are concerned, the blight has had quite a big impact and things are definitely on the downturn. So today I'm going to clear out any tomatoes that are looking the worse for wear. If there's some that are ripening, probably going to pick them and let the rest of the ripening go on indoors. Clear some space and basically start the polytunnel toning down a bit for the winter months. Well, blight is a really challenging disease, and you can see on plants like this where it's killing the plant. And although there's a sultry flower there, and that particular plant is really had it, and this solitary tomato will never get to maturity. Some of them, like this, where this truss has clearly got blight and the tomato is a bit of a dull colour. If I leave that too much longer, it will just turn to mush, and you can see already here in the base of the tomato it's just soft and mushy, and that tomato is not going to come to anything, and these couple of green ones, they won't either. On the contrary, one or two of the tomatoes are managing to pull through, and I think it's important to pick these. They've got a chance, and if you take them indoors and give them a bit of warmth, then they might just ripen. And one trick is to put them with a banana skin, and that invariably makes them ripen a bit quicker. So there are a few that can be saved, and there are many like this one that have absolutely succumbed to blight, and you can see it has this powdery substance on top which is just spores, and if you touch it, it just spreads the blight even further. So there's not a lot you can do in a confined space like this, and if I look around, I can't see many, if any, ripe tomatoes waiting to be picked. I do have some of the beefsteaks that are getting near to being ready to eat, but as you can see, blight has attacked this as well, and these leaves are obviously well on their way out. And the beefsteak at the top here, I've got a couple of ripe tomatoes which we'll pick, and I'm just going to try and hold on to as much of those plants as I can so that we can get the last few green ones a little bit further on. And I'm probably going to spend time cutting out all the brown. So tomato season, at least in this part of the world, has come to an end, and that's the way it is. And we hope that next year we won't have quite so much blight as we did this year. Now when it comes to cutting out some of the growth, because these pieces of foliage have had blight or still got blight, they're not going to go into any soil. I'm not going to put them in any compost. They're going to be burnt, and I'm going to have a fair old bonfire down the bottom of the plot, and all this material will be burnt in that. You just don't want blight in the compost that you're going to use really for anything next year, but certainly you need to keep it away from tomatoes. And I invariably grow my tomatoes in fresh compost just because of the risk of that. And these spores, once they start traveling around, they can get everywhere. So with no further ado, I'm going to cut these back, try and tame them just to allow these other larger beefsteak tomatoes perhaps to mature a little bit further. Well, once I got started on that job, I just got into a groove really. The plants were in such a bad way, and the few tomatoes that were on there were just not worth keeping on the plants for any much longer. So in the end they all came out. So I've got a glorious space now. It's funny, I do enjoy having a space back in the polytunnel, and I can think about what I do with this space in the meantime. But I've just got the beefsteaks left, which I've stripped down now. There was an awful lot of diseased foliage, but we'll see how they come along. And this fella at the back, I still just need to take off some of the leaves to preserve him. Well, it's interesting. The peppers have turned more yellow and dropped more leaves. I think they're going to come off pretty soon. And I've got the first cucumber. So the cucumbers do seem to be thriving in this back end of the season. Flowers on them, and I can see one or two fruits down amongst the foliage there as well. So I think peppers will probably be on my schedule very shortly. In the meantime, I'm just going to strip the last few leaves that are a problem off of that beefsteak and clear up. Well, it's not been a complete failure with regards to tomatoes. We've had a few, we've made some pasta sauce and we've eaten some fresh, but it's not been a good season, and we definitely don't have a surplus. And what's come out of those few plants is just a tub full, a couple of ripe ones, and we'll see if we can ripen any of the others. But all in all, not a good season, and it's nice to get cleared up, but it's disappointing not to have got the crop that I wanted. And as far as the beefsteak competition is concerned, I'm not going to win any prizes, but it's been fun, and there might be some that come through yet.
Well, it's time to get these calendula out. They've been fantastic. I love the orange flowers, and of course we use them to make calendula balm, and that's cooking nicely back at home. So I'm taking these seed heads off. They're really easy. They just pull off of the plants, and these plants pull out of the soil easily as well. The roots don't go down very far. Once you've got the heads, you just crumble them really, and the seed, they just flick away and fall into the packet or pot or whatever you're collecting them in. Really very easy indeed. And before you know it, you've got a whole load. We'll keep these now through to the spring and share them or plant them on. So that's one bed cleared, and we've got a good pot of seed, and this sweeping tray full of sweepings from around the bed I'm going to put in the hedge at the entrance to the allotment. Hopefully we'll have a few flowers come through. That'd be nice to see some orange at the gate. As you can see, they just pull out the ground really easy, and that was the heads that I'm going to take home and see if we can keep for a few days. Be nice. And another tray of seed for the gate. Now my compost heaps have overgrown, of course, because I do nothing with them in the summer, but under those covers we've got a lovely collection of composted horse manure. It's really springy to stand on, and the quality of it is really good. I've kept it moist and it keeps it really friable. Now, there's quite a lot of bindweed under this particular compost heap, but bindweed in this isn't too much of a problem. You certainly don't want it transferring over into the vegetable plot, but because the compost is very soft and very friable, it just pulls out really easy. You don't want to leave any of those white roots in, otherwise it will transfer and grow really easily. The quality in this bin, pretty much the same as the one next to it. I always find the more you have in, the better it is. Now, carpet on the allotment is really not a good idea. Once the fibres break down and get into the soil, it doesn't do the soil any good. But as covers for compost heaps, carpet works pretty well. It lets the moisture through. Whenever you get a wet period, you don't have to worry about keeping the compost moist. And of course it keeps the weeds down, which is its primary objective. And this particular bin got quite a lot of the old bindweed in it, but we'll keep working at it. And once I put it into the wheelbarrow, I can take out what remains very easily. So this compost won't go onto the beds for a month or two yet, but when I'm ready to put it on there, it's going to be pretty chilly, and I'm going to be glad that I've removed all that foliage and just got good access to the bins. The neighbouring blackcurrant and red currant bushes will have dropped their leaves, and I should be able to see with clarity what I need to do, and I'll be ready. So cover it over for now. Now the sunflower seeds, the birds have had a good go at them, but what's left I'm just going to harvest. Some of it will keep for next year, and some of it will go on the bird feeder, I think. So that's a fair old amount off of a head like that. And I'm going to try the chickens with one of these heads, as they do get some sunflower seed in their feed. Just see whether they've got enthusiasm for it. Well, the answer for that is clearly no. This smaller sunflower, really enjoyed the multiple heads on it, so I'm going to keep some of this seed as well, and it's easy to distinguish between this one and the other. The seeds are that much smaller. We'll see if the larger hens are any more enthusiastic. Well, slightly more enthusiastic.
I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.